Hey folks, I'm Ian. I'm the editor of JesusWired. I'm here today with new message band OTC. Say hi to everyone.
Hey guys.
Hello. Yes, guys.
So, thankfully, Zoom has these name tags, so we can easily identify which one of you is which.
It's dandy. Yep, Gina Atkins, there it is.
Yeah, and I was going to ask you to identify yourselves, but Zoom's done it for me, so that's part of my job done. So that's I like it when things are done easily. Just go ahead and introduce yourselves, who you are. Just tell us a little bit about your testimonies, really. And I think we should be British and go girls first. So
I like that. I will claim that. Yeah, my name is Gina. I am the singer in OTC. One day I'm determined to get the boys writing me a rap, but we're working on it. And yeah, my testimony. I was brought up in Derby, good old Midlands, repping the Derby. And I was kind of in and out of church growing up, but didn't really believe. And then I had like a massive plunge in my mental health in secondary school. My mum and dad divorced. It was all messy. And yeah, I really struggled with mental health. And then it got to uni, kind of knew something needed to change. Found my faith again, went back to church, realised that my value, my worth is in what Jesus says about me and the fact that Jesus died and rose for me. And now that's why I'm in OTC, to kind of share that and to hopefully tell young people across the country that they can also find their worth and value in Jesus. So yeah.
Awesome.
And I'm James, and I also help Gina a little bit with singing.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah, me and
oh, come on, James! Don't be.
You win.
I mean, you sing a lot.
Yeah,
you sing on that debut song. Come on,
sing my back off.
Give yourself some credit.
But yeah, so I'm sing, rap, and help with the production as well. But yeah, my testimony, literally, I became a Christian about 6 years ago. I was brought up in a Muslim family, but then I went, the other way, like in the streets, involving a lot of like violence and all that kind of stuff. And literally at the age of 24, I've hurt so many people. I was in a bad place. Like I've destroyed every single relationship that meant something to me, and I was alone, and I hated the person that I became. And I remember literally I hated myself so much. I wanted like literally to take my own life, but then a voice was speaking to me, and this voice, now I know that it's the Holy Spirit, but at that time I didn't know. It was telling me like, listen, the only way out of your situation is Jesus. At that time I thought the only way out was maybe doing something stupid, but this voice couldn't let me rest. So the only way out of your situation constantly is Jesus. The only way out is Jesus. So I said, you know what, I've got nothing to lose. I've lost everything already. Relationship with my girlfriend at the time, relationship with my mother, relationship with friends. And I said, you know what, I'm going to give Christianity one single month. I'm going to give Jesus literally 1 month to see what he can do with my life. If not, then I'm going to do what I want to do. Literally, me making that decision within my heart, not even speaking it out, I said, I'm going to give Christianity 1 single month, my 100%. Literally, I heard a guy walking around Manchester, Piccadilly, singing Amazing Grace, that praising God and worshiping God. I started listening to him, and he was preaching. He was talking about, obviously, Jesus being the Son of God. And me coming from a Muslim background, when someone used to say, Jesus is the Son of God, I used to get angry. I'm like, he's not the Son of God. He's the prophet, X, Y, Z, and argue. But on that day, I didn't argue. I just had peace in my heart. As he was speaking, and I was asking questions, the answers that he was giving me like actually brought peace in my heart. And then that led on to him putting me onto somebody who put me onto the Alpha course. And then at the end of the Alpha course, I gave my life to Jesus. And since then, I had a passion now to tell young people who are in my situation that I was in about Jesus, that there is hope, there is a way out, and that way out is Jesus. And that's why I'm part of OTC. That's why we use music to connect with these young people. Yeah,
that's sick. But I have to say that Prophet XYZ sounds a bit like algebra, and I was told I wouldn't have to use that again after school. So you can keep your maths problems to yourself. How about you next, Aidan? Tell us a little bit about yourself and how how far into your day you are.
I am currently 10 minutes into my day, 15 minutes now. So I've been awake 15 minutes. My sleep pattern has basically got bun in lockdown. But I'm Aidan. I am the rapper and singer with the assistance of auto-tune in OTC. And I'll tell you a bit about my testimony, how I got to being in OTC. Long story short, family weren't in a great situation. My parents weren't so nice to me, and then I kind of tried to find my family and a group of friends who had similar situations to me. So surrounding myself with angry people, basically. And being an angry guy surrounded by angry people, it's not a good mix. So got involved in a lot of silly stuff, a lot of moving drugs and taking drugs, and kind of had a love of drugs and money, basically. And then one day, I think I'd had enough of it. I'd reached the tether, the end of the line, basically. I was sick of being hurt and hurting. And then one day a lady prayed for me. She asked if she could pray for me, and she basically said that she'd been praying, felt like God had been talking to her, and she said that she felt God was saying the things that God was saying to her were about me. And anyway, she listed all these things going on in my life in such detailed accuracy, it kind of scared me quite a lot, actually. I was quite paranoid at the time as well, so I was like, who is this middle-aged lady? And who's she been hanging out? Who sent her? But after I got convinced and let her pray for me, and in that moment, in that very second, bam, everything changed, man. And my life's never been the same since. Something in my head and in my heart just clicked, switched, stopped feeling angry, stopped feeling violent. The effect the drugs had on my head just went. And I felt peace. I felt peace for the first time, and I suddenly realized how much God had forgiven me for. And I was like, yo, this is real. I need to live for this guy. I need to start making the right movements. So found myself going up to the Message Academy, which is like an evangelism course up in Manchester. And from there on, auditions were held for OTC, and joined that way. There you go.
So when you say auditions were held for OTC, was the name already there and they were just auditioning?
No.
For that band, did you come up with the name yourselves?
We did come up with the name ourselves. That was a long process. The audition was held basically just for a new band. Getting a new band. We didn't know. I mean, I could have ended up in an indie rock band. Do you know what I mean? Like, I came with my rapping skills. They could have put me on, on the drums or something. I don't know.
I love that.
Well, drummers are known for getting up late, so I'm going to get a lot of hate from friends for saying that.
I think, as Aiden was saying, like the name of the band literally just came after the three of us were like together now. Like we know, okay, we are like brothers and sister. Like this is what we're gonna be doing. So we're like, okay, how do we want to be identified? How do we want people to recognize us? So I think as we shared our testimony, we all had like one thing in common, like we were all in a situation where we couldn't get out, and it felt like we were caged in. So whether it's like addiction to the street life, or addiction to drugs or abuse, or self image and all that kind of stuff, I felt like we were all like in a cage. And I believe that one thing that we all share in common, like Jesus, like literally set us free. So that's where the name came from, OTC, which stands for Out of the Cage. So we represent people that have been set, literally like let out of the cage. And our heart and our goal is to let young people know that they also can be out of the cage as well. So they can be OTC. So yeah.
So in your kind of short career as a band so far, have you seen many moments where God set people free and set them out of their cages? And what does that feel like to you, having been set free yourself, to now be setting other people free?
Yeah, there's this one girl that always sticks out to me. So we played our first Hire show, and for you guys who don't know what the Hire tour is, it's basically all the message bands. We get sent off to different places in the country, we perform our music, or we share little bits of our testimony within our sets, and then at the end somebody will come up and they'll share the gospel, and they'll do a response or do an invitation to say yes to Jesus and start a relationship with Jesus, and would see like hundreds of kids put their hand up. And then there's a time after that when we as bands, we get to like go in amongst the kids and like chat with them, hand out like Bibles, and just pray with them, pray with the kids that have responded. And I remember I was sat with this girl, and she was just in absolute tears, like tears pouring out her eyes, and I was like, whoa. She hadn't actually responded. She hadn't said yes. She was very like, I don't want to talk to you, but she was crying. So I was like, what's up? And she was like, I just feel like I'm ugly, I'm worthless, nobody sees me, I'm insignificant, and all of this stuff that I like massively related to before I was a Christian. That is exactly how I kind of saw myself, and then I got to just sit down with her on this like grubby, sticky venue floor, and just say to her like, yeah, I used to see myself like that as well, but I now realize that isn't the truth, that like there is a God that created me and meant for me to be here, and there's a God that loves me, and there's a God that says that I'm valuable, and that there is a reason for me being here. And then like I was saying all this to her, and she was just crying and crying, and then I got to pray with her, and then she took a Bible, and we managed to go and take her to one of the youth group stands, and she signed up to a youth group and stuff. So it was really awesome, and that like it was like one of our first gigs, and to see that and a girl like with such a similar story to mine on like one of our first gigs was just beautiful. It was so cool. It's also sick to be able to like do the gig in front of hundreds of people and like hype up a crowd and that, and then realize that that's just not the point at all. Like when you're doing the response stuff afterwards and you get to have that one-on-one chat with one individual that's been there and heard the gospel shared, it's just amazing. It's so cool.
Yeah, there is one time that sticks out to me quite a bit because it was so funny. We weren't on stage or anything. We were just filming our testimonies at the time, and I remember there was this Irish guy, it was like a middle-aged gentleman, who's a father of many, as it is in Ireland, big up Ireland. And this guy starts asking us what we're doing, so we start explaining to him what we're doing and telling him a bit about our testimony. I remember, I think Gina called over to James, but uses James' full name. She says, "Oh, that's James Caroma." And so the guy's like, "Why did you say his full name? Am I supposed to know him? Is he a famous guy?" And then Ben from the Soulbox, who was filming with us, obviously thought it would be hilarious. So just jokingly be like, yeah, someone famous. And immediately Ben tried to save it by being like, no, I'm joking. But the guy's not listening to Ben anymore. He's just like, he is famous. Hey, come over here, James. Come over here. And he spends ages taking pictures and chatting to James and stuff. But to be honest, as hilarious as it was, it did actually open an incredible doorway for James to share his testimony. And this guy actually ended up giving his life to Jesus afterwards. And coming into the message as well for conversation. So we've seen, we've had the blessing and the privilege to be able to see God work through us as a team, even outside of the band mentality, even when we've just been out in the park. So yeah, we have some interesting stories.
Awesome. So what was James famous for? Because surely James would have had to explain why you were famous. So what lie did you come up with as a Christian? Why are you lying as Christians?
I mean, we were not lying because
I think we need to have an intervention for.
No.
Trying to save it.
It's not lying. It's true. I'm famous in heaven. There's a crowd. You know what I mean?
T-shirt.
The vibe into OTC in heaven.
Exactly.
They'll be dancing around going, I win.
Exactly. Trust me.
So how did you all get linked into the hire? How did you get linked into the message? How did you find out about the message trust?
Sick. I'll kick us off. Yeah. I studied in Leeds for 3 years and basically had a bit of a wild first year. I always say that's when I like truly became a Christian. And I then realised with that everything that I kind of went to uni for was like meaningless. I went and did a music degree because I wanted to be the next Beyonce. I wanted to move to London. I wanted to, gig or whatever. And then I realised that that all that stuff was pointless without God. So then I had this massive oh my gosh, I don't know what I want to do with my life anymore. I thought I wanted that, but I don't anymore. And it was at that point when my friend Joy was like, whoa, you don't have to give up music altogether. You could be in a Christian band. And I was like, they do that? What the heck? And she was like, yeah, there's this place in Manchester called the Message Trust, and they put bands together and they write Christian music. And I was like, okay, I might look into that. Finished my degree, and then I was going to go and do academy actually. But I kind of skirted that like a rocket in Mario Kart, and applied for the job instead and got a job, which is mint. So that is me.
Wow, I was not expecting Mario Kart to feature in these answers.
It's just the only way I can describe it. I just fast course that. It's great.
Do you just base your whole life off Mario Kart?
Pretty much.
Watch out for those bananas whilst you're food shopping.
Trust. For me, long story short, just became a Christian, and I didn't know what to do with my life. I didn't know what it's gonna look like because family, my mom at the time disowned me. She's like, now you're a Christian. I can't see myself living with a Muslim. She's a Muslim. She couldn't see herself living with a Christian. So I was in a place where I didn't know what the future was gonna look like, because now I'm coming from the street. Now I'm a Christian. Family don't want me because I moved from the street. Now I'm a Christian. And I remember the message was the only place where they took me in. I couldn't get a job because I had criminal record for things that I did before I became a Christian. And I was in a really bad place where I was lonely, I need help. And they genuinely saw something in me that even I didn't see myself. they saw like hope. They saw the person that I am right now. Like 5 years ago, I didn't see this person. And they encouraged me and they invested in me, like by helping me get on the academy. I learned, studied, started like, evangelizing, telling people about Jesus. And that was my passion. For me, I was like even leaving the music thing aside because I was like, I just want to tell people about Jesus. I just want to go on the street and tell people about Jesus. They were like, no, why don't you like use your creative talent that God has given you, which is music, to reach out to the young people, because that's the best way to actually connect with young people. So I'm like, okay, actually it makes sense. So since then, yeah, I've been around the message, like whether it's helping with production, and then eventually, which is like last year, when they created this new band, they were like, oh, we have a new band opening. Are you interested? So I'm like, yes, definitely, because my passion is to tell people about Jesus. Yeah.
So
mine was interesting process. I'd been a Christian for about a year when I joined the Message Academy, and the transformation was interesting. I was not I was a frustrating person for the beginning of the year. I'll be honest. I got 2 out of 3 strikes on the academy course, but the speed that God transformed me at, that by the end that they were able to offer me a job, it was obviously they had a lot of faith in what God had done. And then from that point, yeah, literally they had an audition, and I remember being on mission at the time at the end of the term on the academy, and I didn't have any time basically to do any films, and I didn't want to do a cover. I wanted to do something original, so I ended up staying up all night writing something, and yeah, and it's basically just had to wait after I did my audition to hear back from them, and then ended up getting the job in September time in 2019? Yeah, September 2019, and I met the guys there, and it's interesting. It was a very cool process. They did say to us that a lot of it, the reason they picked the team, a lot of it is based on us individual leaders and not just on our talents. Apparently, they were saying things like, you could be the best rapper here and we wouldn't have you on the team, because if you don't work well together with the team that they're making, I won't have you on, which was very interesting, which is awesome. It's great to see that they have a lot of faith in the 3 of us, with all of our different backgrounds and where we've come from, and actually how we've come into being the Message. It's all very different.
Yeah,
that's awesome. It's really nice that they look to you when you're not the best rapper here, come on board. So it's like a backhanded insult, but in a nice way. So you've already mentioned that you're on the hire tour with bands like Amongst Wolves and Bright Line and Soulbox. So that you're kind of following in their footsteps in what the Message Trust bands do. So what's one lesson that you've learned from them that has stood out the most to you individually?
Individually, for me, I'll go first if that's okay. Individually, for me, like one thing I've learned, like even you may have heard us like blab about, the academy course. I think it's very, first of all, let me just like briefly talk about the academy course. Like it's very, very like necessary if you're a young Christian, like maybe you're having a gap year, you don't know what to do, like in this gap year, or especially during this pandemic. I would definitely like suggest like the academy course. It's a place where it's not just a place where you go and learn about your talents and that kind of stuff. It's a place that actually like helps you like get your faith and your work like really tight and know what you want to do with your life. Because no matter, it doesn't mean I have to become a singer to do the academy course. You can be whatever you want to be. You can be into whatever you're into. It's not just for musicians. That's not it. It's about people who are passionate about telling people about Jesus, and they will help you to like do that creatively. So how you can use your creativity. If you're an artist, you're a painter, you're a drawer, how can you actually like use your gift that God has given you to actually like tell people about Jesus? So for me, one thing I definitely learned, and up to today I take on board, is how you are when people are not watching you, the life that you're living when you're not around people. How do you keep your integrity? Like for me, that is so important, because it actually helps. Because our biggest testimony is not when we're speaking, it's when we're silent, it's when we're having a bad day. It's like, how is our bad day going to look like to someone who's not someone who's not a believer? How can a person be like, for me, that's one thing that made me actually wanted to become a Christian. I'm not gonna lie. I was like, all I want to do, I know that we all go through hard times, but I've seen Christians go through really hard times, but they have a smile on their face. And that alone made me want to like know more about Christianity, because I saw people who were going through tough time, but just because they had a smile on their face, even if they're going through tough time, I'm intrigued. I want to know what kind of God that they're serving, that they're actually smiling through this like situation. So I think, yeah, integrity, like when people are not watching you, how are you behaving? What are you like when people are not watching? When there's no camera, when there's no Zoom, when there's no phone call, when there's nothing, it's just you and God, like, what are you like when people are watching you? So for me, I learned that from the academy, and I learned how important that is, and it has actually helped my relationship with my mom, because when I became a Christian, she was watching my lifestyle. She didn't care about what I was saying. I could lie. Anybody could lie. But when she saw that my lifestyle were actually like in par with what I'm saying, it made her like actually say, you know what, okay, I accept you now. I understand. I may not like the fact that you're Christian, but I understand the fact that I can definitely see the change in you because of your action is speaking louder than your words.
Yeah.
So I went along.
Just like to say, people watching this interview is not sponsored by the Message Academy.
Not at all.
But if they're watching, then it could be.
We recommend it. It's that good.
It's that good. Gina and Aidan, follow that.
Yeah, in it. I think for me, it's
good.
just.
No, go ladies
Because
first.
I literally my thing is going to be like team, just like how to put it into words. Like, you can be doing the best that you can possibly be, right? Like, I could rock up to work, be smashing out all my tasks, be absolutely bossing it, meeting all my deadlines, killing the game, like my prayer life and my like Bible time are all like on it, absolutely top of the game. But like if the other half of my team like are like struggling, then like that counts for nothing, and like vice versa. Like if Aidan was absolutely bossing it, or if James was bossing it, but I'm like struggling, or just struggling, then it's really you just can't do it. So it is team, and it's that whole thing. And they've brought like people from Brightline in to try and like coach us in that, because there's no point you just running forward in your own little lane, in your own little race, and then kind of like forgetting that it's a team thing and that we need to be doing this together, like as a band, as a three. So that's something that's been like a massive eye-opener for me. I thought I was sick at teamwork, and then there's always more that God can teach you in it about like just working with people and like and being like selfless. And we have this thing at the Message as well of like preferring each other. So it's like always like having your teammates' best intentions at heart, and like putting your teammates first, and like
Cool.
Strong ending.
yeah. So.
She's about to freestyle, so quick, Hayden, go. all the years only mean one thing: a freestyle's about to come.
Yeah.
That's true.
Something that I've definitely learned from one of the other bands is, I guess, very similar to what James was saying, is how important integrity is, especially when you're in the kind of light where kids look up to you. Do you know what I mean? Because you don't want to make it about yourself. You want to make it all about God, and you want to give Him all the glory. And it's like, how do I shine only Jesus through my actions and what I'm doing? And the way to do that is, there's the Bible verse that says, "Seek first the kingdom of God, and all things shall be added." And it's literally just what you choose to do in your private time, what you choose to do when the doors are shut is going to shape you, and it's going to change your behavior and your heart. Because at the end of the day, only God can change your heart. So if we are spending our private time in relationship with God, then people are going to see more of Jesus when they see us. And I think we can do that in our personal time 100%, and we can come to the team with a strong heart. But I think also we've learned that we all need to be doing that, and we need to be as a team praying as well, that we also need to be coming to God together as well. We work together, and I find literally much like what Gina was saying, she was talking about it, sometimes it can be hard working in groups. We've all got different ideas, we've all got different personalities, different backgrounds, so sometimes we butt heads, not in a bad way. It never escalates or anything, but it definitely helps being able to say, actually, we're all Christians here, we're all in this for this reason, and we can all come together and actually allow each other to speak, and we can all be very open to each other's ideas. As Brightline says, as something Brightline taught us, there's something called a Brightline idea. So any idea you put in the middle, it's not your idea anymore, it's a Brightline idea. So if it gets rejected, it doesn't hit you personally. So that's something we've taken from Brightline that we do as OTC. We have our OTC ideas. That's
yeah, carry on.
No, go on. I was going to say that's basically some of the things that we've learned.
I was going to say I'm glad it's an OTC idea and not a Brightline idea. Just being
all their ideas. Exactly.
benefits of being the senior bands.
Your idea.
So last serious question before we do some quick ones to get to know you at the end. We better talk about some music because you've got your debut single out 2 weeks ago.
Yep.
So what's the feedback been like from it? Describe the meaning behind it.
Everybody thinks it's terrible.
It's been really good, man. I've been really happy with the feedback. Very, very surprised at the fact that even some personal friends who are quite, I would say, strong atheists, they've really vibed to it. You know, I think it's been healthy feedback, very healthy feedback. I've been very happy. We've had it played at the gym as well, at the gym that in Wythenshawe, they play it there. And people have asked questions. We've had some amazing comments, haven't we, Gina, in our DMs at OTC. We've had some incredible questions and people asking questions based around what that song's about. So it's definitely, God's definitely been stirring things in people's hearts through that song.
Sick.
Awesome.
Have anyone else got anything to add to that?
I was just going to add to what you're saying. Like, I think definitely, like, for me, the feedback we'll be getting has been like very, very good, and it's very encouraging because, like, you like to hear a Christian song that is very explicit about, you know what I mean, about Jesus and what he does. Like, you know what I mean, you don't hear it very often. So when you hear it, so we hear it often, but we don't get the response because people think it's cheesy and X, Y, Z. But we haven't been getting that kind of feedback to say, oh, it's cheesy. They actually vibe. Like, most of the people who are vibing to it, most of them are non-Christians, but they're actually getting the message because they can relate to it. Because it helps as well. I think the song came out in the right time because of like what's going on around the world, and it feels like a battle. It feels like a challenge. It feels like we're in a war, and you know, people don't know. Everyone is guessing. Like, obviously, government don't know what to do. People don't know what to do, and we're in a place where literally it feels like a battle right now. We're going on with the COVID, but we're saying, like, with Jesus by our side, we are going to win. So that's why I guess maybe so many people are able to actually relate to it, because it's actually something that's going on in their life personally, and they feel like it's a battle and they don't know what's going to happen. But the song obviously just encourages you, like, well, you know what, with Jesus' name, we can win. And I believe no matter what sickness, no matter what challenge we face, with Jesus in our heart and our side, of course we're going to win. You know what I mean? So that's what the song's about. So when I say every battle I face in Jesus' name, guess what?
I win.
That's what I'm talking about, my brother.
Is there a full slot open?
So there you go.
I can't sing or dance or anything, but I've got energy. At times.
It will be OTCA, out of the cage again.
like lockdown 2.0 OTC.
Exactly.
That's hilarious.
So 2.0.
Back in the cage.
Back in the cage. It is mad though, like James was saying, like, it's such an explicitly Christian song, and we haven't had any of that like cheesy feedback. And like, even like BBC Introducing, like BBC Manchester have been playing it, which is like, what? Like, it's so explicitly Christian that it's like, whoa, okay, like even like platforms like that are like like playing it.
It's encouraging. I think if anything, it should encourage us to be more explicit with what we're saying, because we're living in a time and day where, like, if you listen to like the top 5 tracks in the charts, they're all explicitly like filthy, like, you know what I mean, with their message. So we have a message of hope. We don't need to like water it down. We need to be explicit about it. That makes sense.
Makes perfect sense. And just off what all of you are saying, that you've had most of your feedback's been from non-Christians who are vibing to it and all that kind of stuff. And Aidan, you said stuff about atheists and stuff. There's a new song out in America today from a rapper called Andrew Rose, called Meet Me, Heaven on Earth. And there's a line there that simply says, "I'm so fly, making atheists say hallelujah."
That is a bar.
It's just the perfect kind of timing.
It's a bar, I'm not gonna lie.
So what plans for new music have you got coming up, and what is a dream artist for you to work with? Who is a dream artist?
Question.
Many plans. Many plans. We've got lots of releases set to drop. When we are able to, we work on tracks. So we've got a few singles in the bank. They're already scheduled to drop at a certain date, and we're just going to keep writing. Hopefully by the end of next year we'll have an EP. that's the next goal. And a dream artist, gosh, for me personally, I would want to get.
Gina can't wait for your answer.
I know.
I was just like leaning in, like.
Both Gina and I need to know this.
I know. Because I know who I want to work with, apart from obviously Ian. Who else?
That is a hard one.
I didn't pay him to say that, by the way.
Yeah.
Not at all.
That's true.
I think probably Kanye West, just purely for the fact that he is a Christian artist with a massive reach. And if you want people to hear that name of Jesus proclaimed heavily, like, I think he's probably one of the biggest artists out there at the moment that is that people are hearing the name from, who is technically in the secular world of music. Otherwise, it would be someone like someone ridiculous, someone Eminem or something. But I can't imagine trying to get any other rappers to try and like do positive lyrics in a song or do songs about explicit language. So I could probably only pick Kanye.
We know God who works in miraculous ways.
Yeah.
Never.
Yeah.
I think for me.
What about you, Gina?
Just get back to when we've got music. Our next single is due to drop in January, which is really exciting. Hopefully, like, furlough is not a thing by then, so we can like properly get behind the release and that. But yeah, it is, like Aidan said, it's all scheduled to go out. So January will be our next single. An artist, that's tricky. I mean, the dream would be someone like Ariana, but like Aidan said,
I was thinking that.
You knew I was going to say it. But I mean, her latest album is.
Press release, I was going to guess Ariana Grande.
Really, I just love her. But I mean, just going to put it out there, Justin Bieber. Why not?
Oh man, you just break my heart, man. That's not only because obviously he's on a journey, and you know, what I mean, he's in a. Plus, he has a massive reach. I think the most thing that I like about Justin Bieber, I think just his journey from where he was, you know what I mean, to where he is now. I think it's very encouraging, like, you know what I mean, to actually hold on to his faith and his identity, like even though he has all of, you know what I mean, like the drugs, the sex, the women, everything around him, but yet he's like married and, you know, he's got his head like screwed on properly. It's because it's insane amount of like temptation around him, so for him to like be on the track that he's on, I think it's encouraging and probably like an inspiration to myself, to be honest.
I meant to that.
Yeah.
So silly questions just to round off because we're running out of time.
I love silly.
The first question I've got to ask is, James, does your surname get confused with Corona?
I'm not gonna lie. One of the first person to do it, because I have a 7-year-old daughter. She was doing it all the time, annoying me. She does it every time. When I go and pick her up at school, she's like, "That's my dad, James Corona." I'm like, "It's Corona. You do it. Why?" Yeah, she does that. My daughter is the main person. Yeah,
that's hilarious.
Does it all the time.
So when I hear the name Out of the Cage, I'm a massive wrestling fan. So when I hear Out of the Cage, I immediately think of wrestling. So if you were to be a WWE wrestler or just a wrestler, what would your wrestling names be, and what would your entrance music be?
Oh my gosh!
I'll go in. I'll be John Cena because the devil can't see me.
You've got to make your. To be honest, I like that answer too. I meant make your own name up, but that works as well.
Yeah. Okay, James Cena.
Aidan's answer going to be Randy Orton, so he can RKO the devil out of nowhere. not even out of nowhere.
I'll be the Overtaker. The Overtaker.
The Overtaker.
Cool. Overtaking it. You know how it is. Aidenator.
I know what my walking music would be. It would be some like proper cheesy, like 80s pop, like it's the power of love, or something really cheesy, like proper like thinking Back to the Future.
Now you're walking out to Elton John. I know you.
Yeah, you know it. I can love Elton John. Yeah, it'll be some cheesy 80s music.
You have all failed this question. You have not answered with your own song, I Win. Every battle I face.
No, wait, I haven't talked about mine yet.
Oh, okay, James.
Exactly.
You go.
Apart from obviously, like, the devil can't see me because guess what?
I win.
Yeah.
Okay. Before we go, the question for you: if you were a wrestler, what name would you have, and what theme tune, apart from I win, what theme tune would work out?
You see, James, someone's misinformed you. This is not how interviews work. I'm the interviewer. You're the interviewee.
The viewer. There you go.
Ian Boss.
I guess I'd go a little bit cheesy, and I'd say that I was probably going to be the Flame.
Oh,
because there's my favourite band, Thousand Foot Crutch, so they have an album called "The Flame in All of Us."
Oh, I see.
So I think that would have to be my name, and probably my entrance music as well.
Wow.
Something TFK.
Oh.
Wow.
That's it.
I see. That's dope. I'm not gonna lie.
I'm not gonna lie. I'm quite relieved I came up with that on the spot.
That was really good.
God has just struck with inspiration. Talking of music, what's your most embarrassing song that you absolutely love that the world hates, and that the world gets wrong, but you know?
Like a guilty pleasure.
Yeah, music guilty pleasure. What everyone.
I don't believe that any music is embarrassing. I'm just a massive fan.
Sure?
I'm a massive fan. I'm a massive fan. I'm a massive fan of anything like cheesy or just hardcore pop. You know what? Reach Up for the Stars by Steps. There.
I mean, I can't argue that. It is a banger.
It's so good.
Oh,
no lie, I performed at a primary school dressed as Joe.
No way. No way.
And in the Scouts.
I have a couple.
There's a song that I used to like do on my boys, like to prank them, because I had like friends who think they're hard, like they think they're Batman and all that. Yeah. So like they will walk in a room, and I will start playing like for no reason, I just play the Barbie Girl. And then one of them one time was standing in my kitchen. It was actually forgot himself, was bossing a move, and I recorded him.
Love that.
Bossing a move to Barbie Girl. I'm like, bro, what's going on? Yeah. I don't know. It's always in my head. Cheesy song, but it's in my head.
That's good.
But that's the point of cheesy song. It's supposed to go in your head and stay in your head.
Facts.
I have a couple guilty pleasure songs, man, and one of them my girlfriend always takes the mick out of me for listening to it. And when it comes on the radio, I'm always vibing. I'm like, hey, oh my days, I can't remember what her name is or what the song's called.
Sing it.
Basically, I know, but I knew that's what was going to be the case.
Sing it.
You guys are going to want me to sing it, but I have to try and find the lyrics. Okay.
No, forget the lyrics. Just sing it.
2 strikes on the
It's the so I'm crazy, but you like that.
Oh yeah.
Back then
Daisy by Ash Nico.
Is that the one? Yeah, yeah. That. Whenever I hear that, I can't help it. I start vibing. And also Ariana Grande Monopoly. That's also a banger. Gina actually.
I showed you that.
Did, yeah, and I heard it once, and then it went on my playlist, and now I listen to it discreetly. If my earphones are in, I'm listening to it. My phone's turned around, so no one knows what I'm listening to. But yeah,
it's such a good track.
It is a good track. There you go. It's one of the kind of songs that girls listen to in their change room before they go out to hype themselves up, and I'm there like.
Hype yourself up before you go and wake up.
And now for the most important question of this interview.
Yeah.
If Pinocchio was to say that my nose would grow right now, what would happen?
If Pinocchio was what?
Say that again.
If Pinocchio was to say my nose will grow right now, what would happen?
Oh gosh, because he's not lying. Wait, is he lying? Oh no, that's a weird question. I see what you're asking. It's
if
like a
Pinocchio were to say.
Because when Pinocchio lies, his nose grows. So is he lying if he says that question? If Pinocchio was to say,
oh my gosh, that's so weird.
I think his nose would just explode out of confusion.
Just spontaneous combustion, like it's about to happen to Gina's head.
Yeah.
My nose will grow right now, but no, it won't. But then he is lying.
Then he's lying, exactly.
Yeah, because if it grows, then he's saying the truth. But it will only grow if he's lying. So then it will never. Oh my goodness!
That means your nose will shrink. It'll go in.
Exactly, it'll just get inverted, isn't it?
Inverted nose. Doctor, I've got an inverted nose. Please.
That's such a good question.
My favourite question to ask all artists.
Yeah, that absolutely, you just mash up Gina's brain because she's gonna
Literally, I'm
you're
using
gonna
that
Google it
all
when
the
you leave. She's
time.
gonna be Googling right now. Just check. Message you, email you like a long email with the answer.
The rest of the
Expect an email from Gina.
I'm just going to get an email from Gina tomorrow going, I've been up all night thinking about this.
I still don't know.
Make it stop.
Take the pain away.
Help me.
Take the pain out of the cage of my head.
Oh yeah, that's good.
That didn't work.
I appreciate it.
Right, so to wrap up this interview, so obviously the world's suffering from COVID right now, and we're all in lockdown and stuff. So just to finish it on a light note and a message of hope for people, what would you say to people who are really struggling with COVID, with lockdowns, with jobs being on the line? Just what would you say to those people?
There's hope, man. God promises peace. God promises peace. And when we come to Him, we can get strength from Him. We can get our strength and get our joy and get our peace from Him, regardless of the situation. 100.
But also, like, yeah, as Aidan is saying, there is hope, and sometimes it takes for like a chaos like this, like for the world to stop before the world can actually realize that actually there is God, there is someone bigger than coronavirus, way bigger than coronavirus, that He can put a stop to this. And it's crazy how, like, when I look at some pictures where like 5 of us in one picture, it feels weird. I'm like, oh, I can't believe we still like be so close. It feels weird, but I believe that maybe sometime next year we're gonna look back and be like, oh, being apart is weird. You know what I mean? It feels like a long time ago when this. I feel like we're gonna go, yeah, by the grace of God. I feel like, yeah, there is hope, and we're gonna get into a place where we can, be with our loved ones again, no matter the situation, no matter what we are facing. Sometimes things have to get tough before they get better. But 100%, by the grace of God, by God's promise that it will get better. It always gets better. Yeah.
Yeah, I think for me it would be the whole thing of the Bible verse, and it's like God is close to the brokenhearted. That like God, like the fact that there is suffering and pain and heartbreak right now doesn't mean that there's not a God. It just means that God is there with you in it. Like He's not left you. He's not made any less significant by this whole COVID thing. Yeah, just that He does care, and that, yeah, just because it's hard and it's painful and there's a lot of heartbreak, it doesn't mean that God's abandoned us or left us. It's the opposite. Like God is right there. And like you look at Jesus, and I know in Hebrews it talks about how like Jesus like went through basically every kind of heartbreak that you can go through while He was here on the planet. So like we have a God that can like emphasize what we're going through and like gets it and understands what it feels like to be let down, to be broken. Like it says in the Bible that Jesus literally would, like, blood would come out of His pores because He was so stressed. So it's like God gets it, and like now more than ever is not the time to like just shrug it off and be like, this is hard, there's obviously no God. It's like it's the opposite. Like God gets it and He's there with us.
Yeah, awesome. So how can our readers be praying for OTC over the coming months? What
a lovely question.
I know, I kind of stole it from another website in the past.
That's a great question. I mean, I guess just that we figure out, so technically we're only allowed to work 1 day a week now because we're on furlough, which is awesome because it means we get paid our wage, which is a blessing, but we're only allowed to work 1 day a week each. So just figuring that out, and how do we still like create content and like share the gospel and write music and create music videos? Like how do we do that when we can't be together? And when we're only allowed to work 1 day a week.
Also, just to add to Gina's prayer, like also just pray that our songs like actually like touch the hearts that actually need it right now the most. Like I pray, like I pray that God like speaks to young people through this song, like where they would never have maybe an opportunity to go to a church, for example, or through this song, it's like a meeting point where God can actually meet them in their headphones or on their iPad, in their, the mobile phones. I pray that, just God like actually use this song to actually like touch their heart, to see that actually there is hope, like God is with them, because the enemy likes to come, kill, steal, and destroy, especially at a very early age. But I just pray that God intervenes, like God uses this song to intervene in so many especially young people's life before the enemy gets there.
Yeah, I back both those prayers, man. Both those prayers.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for taking time to talk to us today.
Anytime.
We will let you get back to your individual activities. Aidan, getting up and having some
Aiden getting back to bed. He's not getting over. Wake up for dinner.
Aiden going back to bed. James getting back to his cobbler business. Are all those shoes yours?
Trust, yeah. I'm a shoe freak.
Oh my day!
Wow.
I've got a walking wardrobe.
That's not even all of it.
If anyone is watching this and they need a pair of shoes, then
literally holler James up.
Yeah, I'll be your plug.
Well, I now understand why you bring so much soul to the music.
That was brilliant.
Oh, Gina gets it. Okay, maybe hopefully you get it for the Pinocchio one too.
Someone say he's our trainer, innit? Someone says.
And just to embarrass her, we'll let Gina get back to making her bed.
Yes, you're out of me now. The whole world knows. I don't make my bed, guys.
If she wants to tilt her camera a little bit, you see an unmade bed. But
oh, you're gonna make me do this?
I'm not making her do it. Oh, she's going to do it. It's just atrocious. James is lying to people, saying he's famous. Gina can't make a bed, and Aiden's just in bed all the time. And that, folks, is OTC.
That's amazing.
Thank you so much for speaking to us today. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Thank you. Cheers, man.